It's been a month. It's not even close to being half over. Hi, you guys, and welcome back to All Things Equilateral. I promised you my top 10, and I am a little delayed. I am grateful to each and every one of you that's also delayed. So I posted my top 10. I have my 2019 highly anticipated books coming out. I would like to do a video, and let me know if you'd be interested, where I look at my 2018 most anticipated and I see if I've even read them or if I enjoyed them. So I need to take a look at that. I think Goodreads is actually down. So let's start off this video. This is the highly anticipated, I say that with full sarcasm, most disappointing books of 2018. The first book I read for Chick Lit-a-thon, and I actually DNF'd it. It's Sarah Dessen's Keeping the Moon. Couldn't even tell you what it was about. The book is tiny, and I really should have just, gone right through it and not thought much about it. But it just wasn't for me, and I couldn't get into it. Even in like 10, 20 pages of this tiny little book, I just couldn't get into it. So I decided to DNF it, because sometime in the last couple of years, I've decided that, you know what, about 50 pages into the book, if I don't think this is a book for me, I'm just gonna put it down, DNF it, and forget about it. Because look at all the books that I have to read just on my shelves. There's just too little time in my day, and gonna move on. The next book that was a huge disappointment is Layla's Sales, If You Don't Have Anything Nice to Say. Now, I've read another Layla Sales book that just didn't impress me, and I think there's one that's up on our shelves or up in Kat's room called This Song Will Save Your Life, which we're both dying to read. I'm hoping it's better than this. What I remember without my Goodreads review is the disappointing part about this is the girl says something on social media, I want to say it was Twitter, and the thing explodes. And what she says is something that she just blurts out, and people interpret it for what it is. This thing blows up so much out of proportion, and that part is real. I just didn't like the way the character handled the whole debacle. And I didn't like the fact she ends up in like a therapy place and with other kids who've made similar mistakes. It was a cool idea and something that's very relevant, but it was sort of like if you lifted the boring parts of that kind of plot. I didn't relate to the character. I didn't relate to her circumstance. I didn't relate to the parents, I just didn't relate to it. And so it wasn't the book for me. Now, are there some valuable life lessons? Sure, I think. Okay, the next book is Songs and Other Lives by Jessica Pennington. Really, it's a song. It's a story about everything that I normally love. It's got some rock and roll elements in it. I picked it up. I read 50 pages. I was bored. I DNF'd it. That's all. What are you gonna do? It's not you, it's me. Yeah. The next book I should have loved. It's a mystery set in a boarding school, and if you know anything about me, I love boarding school settings. I just love them. People Like Us wasn't the story for me. I was bored almost from the first page. I don't know why. Do you ever wonder why that happens? Is it the writing? No, there was nothing particularly wrong with the author's writing. It was fine. It was just bland, and it didn't hook me. And I sometimes wonder if stories could be started. I think Allie Carter, if you guys have gone to her signing, she's amazing. She talks a lot about writing as a craft, and she always starts with like her main character's worst day ever. And this would have been, I mean, I think it did, because it starts off with a murder, I think. I don't remember. I just remember not liking it. And I so was ready for a boarding school story. I still am. So if you have any, recommend them down below. Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. Again, if you follow me on social media, and I'm very active on Instagram and on Twitter still, under the name Sophie Rigsby, all run together, you will know Fragments of the Lost. People liked it. Lots of my booktuber friends, I think, liked it, or at least Lisa Books and Smiles, I think, did. I couldn't stand, and those of you who follow me, you can almost just mouth along with me. I couldn't stand the mother of the dead boyfriend, because within the first like dozen pages or so, the main character goes over to her dead boyfriend's house, and the mother makes her clean out all of the boyfriend's memories. And I think there are even exes at that point, and the mother stands creepily at the door and watches her. And maybe, you know, this is foreshadowing or something, but I was so offended as a mother that, you know, a character would do that. I mean, I know, you know, all of us are different. And yeah, she wasn't a good mom, Sophie. But I was just offended. It was like, it was the weirdest thing, too. Like, what mother on earth would let an ex-girlfriend come in and clean out the remains of her son's bedroom and all the memories? So I never even got to know what the Fragments of the Lost were, because I really didn't care. I know that sounds horrible, but next book is one that is a shocker, and it's The Female of the Species. Yeah, so let's talk about this book. This book is presented like a thriller, and then it has kind of a story to tell. It has it wants to make you think beyond the thriller mystery aspect of it, and I just didn't like that aspect. The characters were also very unrelatable, and it was just over the top for me. I like a more subtle, if you're going to be teaching me something, or if you're going to take that kind of preachy tone, I want it to be more subtle. And I really thought this was a book that was striving to be both things, like both a thriller and then this like story about recovery and mourning and feminism, I think. I didn't like it, and I mean, there's lots of people that do. So yeah, maybe I should link some of those below, but then anyone looking at the video will know what the books are. The next one is one that actually I really like the author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I rated this book, I think it was like 2.5 stars, because, and I listened to an audio, and the audio was actually very good. But for me, my taste, I read a lot of Hollywood mysteries at one point, fascinated by, you know, Hollywood and stars and how they get to be stars, and kind of the Hollywood movie machine was interesting, and especially in the glamorous days in the, you know, early part of Hollywood, 20s, 30s, 40s, into the 50s. And this follows an interesting character. Evelyn Hugo is a great character. And I've watched a couple of booktubers who just love this book say that what they loved about it is that it seems so real that they would actually like Google, you know, Evelyn Hugo, because to them she felt really real. To me, she was a conglomerate of tragic Hollywood actors. And because I've done so much reading over the years and biographies of Hollywood actors and actresses, it seemed like a compilation of that. The ending, pretty clever, but not enough to make up for the fact that it just went on and on and on. And I don't think Evelyn ever really learned maybe a lesson that would have been good. She kind of does, I mean, obviously because of the ending, but it was a story about a very powerful woman at a time when women were not powerful, just slogging her way through a very male-dominated business. And I do respect that, and I enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid writing, and I'm very, very giddy at the thought of more books from her, and I want to read her backlist books. But this story was almost generic, like, for me. But it was well done, generic but well done. So beware, buyer beware, if you are like me and you've done a lot of Hollywood reading, this will be like, you know, you're reading, I don't know, insert the name of a powerful woman in Hollywood. Betty Davis maybe, you know, one of those biographies. Second to last book. And this book was not published in 2018. It was published, I think, in 2017, maybe even 2016. It was a paranormal historical novel called Shadow Bright and Burning. And this was all over BookTube. It has a lovely cover, but the story inside was boring. Everything was boring. The magic system, the characters, they were just bland. And because BookTube hyped this book up, I mean, I saw it everywhere at some point. I think one of the popular reading clubs on BookTube covered it even, and they were so excited about it. They were comparing it to the Infernal Devices. This ain't no Infernal Devices, people. For me, again, it was just nothing wrong with the storytelling, but the characters didn't stand out, and the magic system, I just couldn't get into it. I could understand it, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't interesting enough to keep me reading. I did finish the book, however. And the number one most disappointing book on planet Earth, I mean, in 2018, is Hank Green's An Absolutely Unremarkable Thing, you guys. I went into this because I love John Green, and I know they're brothers, and I'm an only child, so I can't relate, as my kids will tell you, but having 3 children, I know they're all very different. And so I wasn't expecting a John Green book from Hank Green. I was expecting the same kind of personality, I think, that he presents in their YouTube channel, Vlogbrothers. But I wasn't expecting basically a script for Vlogbrothers. So the basis of this book, and you guys can read the synopsis, is this girl, unlikable character, trips across a robot in the streets of New York just randomly on a day. And it turns out that these robots are not just in New York, but they're all kind of scattered all over the world. And so this becomes an internet sensation. Now, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to spoil it for you. That's on the synopsis. But I'm going to say that this reads just like one of Hank Green's videos, where he takes kind of an innocuous small thing that you want to know more about and then just kind of blows it up in the 3 minutes that they talk. And then puts it into like a bigger picture. And I got it within the first few pages. I kept reading it, and the character did not get better. Her decisions were not always good ones. The way she treated people was not always good. So again, unrelatable, unlikable character. I can read those. I read Snape, and I adored him, but I just didn't care for the story, and when the ending came, it was exactly what I thought it would be from page 1. So it wasn't like he tried to pull any punches or do any huge twists. It was just that. It was a small story that got blown up, and there it is. You read all those pages, Sophie. So I would love to know, there's lots of people that love the story. I would just like to know if there's anyone out there that didn't. Am I just the lone, data point sticking out here, the outlier, the lone wolf? Dunno. Those are my 2018 most disappointing books. I have to go back and look at my 2018 highly anticipated, like I said, because I don't know, I don't think Hank Green's book made it, but man, if it did, it would be great. What are some of your 2019 goals? I know part of mine is to read at least one book off of my backlist every month and use one in the readathons that I've been doing and really enjoying all year long. So let me know down below. Give me a like, won't you? Subscribe and hit the bell icon, because y'all, you never know when I'm going to post. Thanks so much for watching, and good.